or the time has turned on my computer, so I'll call this meeting to order. Could I have somebody make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Okay. I don't believe we don't have any public on the call, so I won't ask for public comment. We're really here just to ask some questions of the people that have expressed interest and said that they were formal candidates for the appointment that we are legally required to make. Dave or Brian, could we get the recording started? I think we should have already done it.
Yeah, the YouTube is running.
Okay,
sorry,
all right. I just wasn't sure. I didn't see anything that said I was recording. We're good. Okay. So I'll say that again. We've called the meeting. We are going to have interviews for the candidates that have expressed interest in the board appointing them until a special election that the town of Clarendon has warned in May. So the person appointed, we're going to take action tomorrow night. Tonight is just going to be asking them questions. We'll hold off on discussion until tomorrow night. So take notes. I'll ask a couple questions then, and Maria will ask a question, and then she's going to ask the board if they had any questions for the candidate. And we'll ask the same question. I mean, your questions don't need to be the same, but we'll ask the same questions of them from formal questions. And then we'll just close out, and tomorrow night we'll have a discussion of the candidates, and we'll have a vote. So,
can I just clarify process?
Absolutely.
So you'll ask a question, I'll ask a question, you'll ask a question, and then we'll take questions if there's more time from the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully there will be.
Yes, of course there will be. We've got lots of questions.
I wrote myself very nice notes, but I tend to wander. So does anybody have any questions or comments on the process? Or otherwise, I guess we have to, that was pretty fast. We shouldn't have given ourselves a full 5 minutes, but we'll have to wait for the first candidate. We have Andrea Hawkins first, and then Carol Geary. Some of you will remember Carol. She was the special ed director in the district.
And Adrian, I just tried. There we go. Andrea Hawkins has just joined us now, so you're in good shape.
Great. We'll just start a couple
Can
minutes
you
early.
hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we were talking about the process. I don't know if you had tuned in. We're going to be asking the same questions of you and the other candidate, who's Carol Geary, and the board will have time, hopefully, to have a couple questions too. And then we're going to hold off on any other discussion until the meeting tomorrow night, where we'll hold a full discussion and then vote on the appointment.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready to start?
I am ready.
Okay. Sort of a multi-part question. Please tell us about yourself and what motivated you to run for the board seat. And I guess elaborate on whether it was a particular issue, or if it wasn't, what is the most important responsibility of the board at this time?
So what motivated me is that my son is in 7th grade and has actually graduated from Clarendon, and attending 7th grade now. And I just feel like, as him being in school and seeing his friends and being a part of helping with the homework every year and being involved with the teachers, it was an overpowering feeling for me that I just wanted to be involved in his education more than I am as a parent, sitting back on the sidelines, because ultimately it is him and his friends, and it is all of the other students. And I just feel that I want to be a part of that more than anything. It's not one specific thing. It's not any one specific issue or anything like that. I just feel that I owe it to my alma mater to try to be a part of the school system again.
Well, I guess that brings me back to the beginning part of my question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you went to
So
Mill River.
I graduated from Clarendon Elementary. I graduated from Mill River. About 3.5 years ago, I actually coached cheerleading at Mill River for 4 years. Trying to I was a cheerleader for 10 years. So that was a big thing for me, was maybe try to come back and do that. And I've lived in Clarendon my whole entire life. I actually I bought the house that I grew up in. So, so I have been here forever.
Okay. Maria, do you want to
I
say-
work
go
for the
ahead.
state of Vermont too. I've been an employee of the state of Vermont for 17 years. I have 15 years of welfare auditing under my belt. That's what I do now. And probably would do that for the next 14 years until I can retire, if I ever can. So I'm very aware of budgets and dealing with the state and dealing with the federal government, because I have to communicate with them on a regular basis. It's an everyday occurrence for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for starting in on the answer to the next question, which is about what experience and skills you feel like will help you be an effective Rover board member. And it's another two-part, it's like a double question. But along with that, how are you going to get up to speed specifically with school board responsibilities and understanding how that works? For example, there's a new school board member training from the VSBA. There's a handbook that exists. The administrators are generally open, but how do you plan to get yourself?
So
ready to
as
join
far
us?
as getting myself up to speed, I definitely have time to do, the training, read the manual. I'm not a very good sleeper, so that would be my nighttime routine. And I had, any communication that I could have with the board up and, would help me out. I meant, tremendously too. And I'm sorry, I totally spaced the first part of the question.
That was really what you've been talking about already, was about your experience and skills that you bring specifically to the board that you can apply.
Yeah.
And you talked about working with the state, and you talked
Yep.
about budget too.
So prior to me being an auditor, I was a case manager in the welfare department, which involves a lot of collaborating and a lot of being on certain committees to try to help your clientele. So I'm very used to being in a group format. I'm also, my job allows me to be very independent. Our unit is 6 people and we're covered through the whole entire state. So we very regularly are always via chat or text, or we have virtual meetings. I have been working from home for the last over a year now. So I have, plenty of technology skills. And if I don't have all of them, my son is really good. So I have him help me. So I am very accustomed to being a part of a group membership. So that comes natural anyway.
Great. Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
So you've done it again. My question was, how do you strive for consensus in a group where you are fundamentally at odds with fellow board members? How will you work with members to achieve consensus? So you've already said that you work in a group. If you could elaborate on how you deal with situations where you guys don't agree.
So we have many circumstances where the state welfare department is not always in agreement with the federal regulations. And usually that just pertains us, speaking our mind and being able to collaborate with them to maybe come to an understanding. So I'm very accustomed to everybody making their voice very heard or their opinion heard, but then also being able to come to a determination together and not necessarily just being so stuck in what you think. You have to give. You may have your own opinion, but you also have to see outside the box. Working for the state for so long, it is very outside the box approach. So you can't necessarily, I mean, you're going to have your own opinion about some sort of situation that may be coming up, you know, oh, the budget's over what it should be or whatever, and what you're cutting and, or what, where you need to, you know, make adjustments. And everybody's going to feel their same, but do your research and just kind of help make it just an equal, not a battle, but an equal partnership, along with making what you want to be heard too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maria?
Yes, thank you. Adrian, are we sort of, how much time do we have right now?
It's only 7:10, so we've just been breezing through these questions.
Right. Okay, so the next section is, we wanted to give plenty of time for the rest of the board to ask anything that you feel like is important to bring up or that you want to know more about. So I'll manage that, and just let me know if wave and I'll call on you.
Yeah.
BJ.
Yeah, I'll start. Normally this would be a community vote that the community would vote. What is something you would share with the public to get their vote? Does that make sense?
Yes. It does, BJ. I think I would tell the community that I'm not particularly like any other candidates, because they do have a very open mind to a lot of options. I have also seen Clarendon go through a lot too. And being involved in the school system in an outsider's point of view, and then, you know, like coaching, I was kind of in it a little bit. You do see a lot, and I think that has actually given me a lot of background in having some knowledge of everything. But I think, and I'm not a hard person to get along with too. It's not like I'll go to the grocery store, and, you know, if somebody wants to talk about something, I'm not going to necessarily say, hey, wait, you got to wait till next month's meeting, or you got to send me an email or something. I'll have a conversation and take notes, but I don't do that in my full-time job. But I'm not a very, you know, I'm not so rigid that I'm going to be very cold to the community. I don't know. Did that answer it? I'm like,
I know that's a lot to put on a little
BJ.
sign, but
All right. Thank you.
that was good though.
Let's see. Is there anybody else who has a question for Andrea?
I just have to say hi, Lenny. It's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in forever.
Nice. Doug, you're up.
Thanks for that, Andrea.
Let me get off
You're
on you.
welcome.
Andrew, I got to tell you, you got about the most contagious laugh of anybody I've ever heard. You just talk to
thank
me, and then you hit that giggle situation and go on. One question to you would be, we've had some time with your kids here, and with you here for that matter, in the district. Do you have any thoughts on current education procedures that your kids are using, or the ones that you had previously to that? And do you have any ideas on changes or to increase what we have?
This year's been really hard, I think, with the pandemic. Of course, I was raised where there was no cell phone where you could say, hey, Google, you know, what's the answer to this? You sat in the library and studied, and you read the history books, and you carried them around in your library, you know, in your locker and stuff. So I think and I understand the Chromebooks, like it's been extremely essential for, you know, my son to be here doing his schoolwork and stuff too. But I think that for me as a parent, seeing the children strictly technology is very hard for me to grasp a little bit. I try to have my son do handwriting afterwards instead of just typing, you know, so it's that part of it. It's, almost kind of bringing our old brass roots, like when I was little, into it, along with the technology, because our world's going to technology. But that part of it, I just feel like they need to have a little bit more of what was back in the old days, kind of like. I love the quote that I've seen, I don't know how many times, about kids in cursive writing. I'm like, I didn't, that needs to come back. They need to learn how to write. I remember being in college writing papers over and over and over again, and then I type them. I don't think I really know a little bit about, I know a little bit about just like the testing and what it kind of looks like when they do their ASVAB tests or whatever else. That would be more I need to learn about, and how that affects like the Department of Education and things like that. So, but I think we need to bring back some old stuff too.
Did you ever do your learning your math by the math sheets that you had? 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah,
2
I
+ 2 is
hate the new
5.
math. I can't
Yeah.
understand it. I want the old.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Asha.
Hi, Andrea. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I'm the representative from Tinmouth.
Oh.
So we've got members of the Greater Mill River community have expressed a desire for more communication from the board. I think that's something that we've heard a lot. What are some ideas that you have for how you might engage with your community and keep them informed about your participation and your work as a board member?
Unfortunately, yeah, along with the whole technology thing, I'm not a big Facebook social media person, but that would be a really good avenue because a lot of people are on all the social medias and everything else. And I don't necessarily say that the school board needs to have its own page or anything, but some sort of communication to just have it so that the public knows, like, okay, these are the top issues or whatever. Because honestly, when you get the packet in the mail and it's like from the town and it's the assessment report and stuff, if you stick it on your kitchen table with the rest of your bills, you're going to lose it and you're never going to read it. It would not benefit, I think, the school board to be mailing out like a paper thing or this is our report for the month and this is maybe, the top, subjects or anything, because I don't necessarily think that everybody's going to read it. A lot of our members in Clarendon are older, that their kids have been graduated for years. A lot of our community have new kids who have never been in Clarendon, who haven't grown up in Clarendon. And a lot of, some are parents that have been here their whole entire lives and are trying to start their own family, but they're using social media. So it would be kind of something that not just like we have to, put everything out there, just like, hey, these are the 3 hot topics. Like, what, this is the most pressing right now. Can we have a community forum, one time to have a little community feedback, or please write a letter telling us your thoughts, or post me a little note that, lets me know what you think might be a good solution, or even your opinion on it. Something like that to try to get out, to tell people what we're doing, because I really think our community has no idea what happens in the schools and on what really has to be, what is the real pressing issues that are being dealt with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Andrea. And as the chair of the Community Engagement Committee, we're definitely taking notes on your ideas, especially for Clarendon, because we're always trying to figure out how to get information out and get people involved and know what's going on. So thank you.
Yep.
Does anybody else have a question they'd like to ask?
Yeah,
Adrian?
7:19. It'll have to
Yep.
be.
So we probably got about 1 more question's worth. Pressure's on.
If that.
Matt, do you want to ask? I mean, just because you're also from Clarendon, I wanted to make sure that you had a chance if you want to have a
Yeah,
question.
Andrea, nice to see you again. Obviously, we're somewhat new. Just wanted to make sure, obviously, it would make sense for the board to select a candidate that at least is going to attempt to be elected by the town of Clarendon. Did you submit an application to Gloria to be on the ballot?
Yes. Yep. I did it last week.
Okay, awesome. Just want to make sure.
Yep.
Have you been
you.
to the dump to campaign?
No, and I love the guys at the dump. So I really need to go there. Like I would hang out there all week with those guys at the dump. They're my favorite Saturday mornings.
Great.
Okay.
I've gone through it before, and again, I'll say it again, you do not get elected in the town of Clarendon unless you stand at the dump at least a couple of hours.
I'm
Yep.
good with that.
I think a
love
lot
the
of us
dump.
can speak for
A lot
that.
of times I'll take the budget in and we'll sit at the table and the people come along. It's usually kind of cold, so you have to be careful. But yeah, that's the best place because you meet a lot of people you don't know. They don't know you, and as soon as you convince somebody, you got another vote or two. It's great stuff.
Yes.
All
And
right.
I love the dump. I would totally be there.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Andrea.
Adrian.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
thank you very
Andrea.
much.
Good to
Well-
see you.
Thank you. We don't know if Carol is here yet.
Carol should be migrating in momentarily.
My toes are still wishing I got to campaign at the dump in not winter time.
Yes. That's Shrewsbury's place too.
For sure.
Hello, Carol. Welcome. We are going to be asking you the same questions that we asked to Andrea Hawkins, and then we're going to turn it over to the board. So I imagine some of those questions will be different. And then we're holding off on any discussion until tomorrow night at the regular board meeting, right before we take a vote.
Yep.
So I was going to start
Hi,
off,
Carol.
and then Maria's going to go
Hi,
next.
I actually said hi, but my microphone was off, so we're getting there.
Okay, we can hear you though, so we're good.
Okay, good. I turned it
You were-
on.
Okay, so question one. It's a multi-part. Please tell us about yourself and what motivated you to run for the board seat. And was it a particular issue, or if not, what do you see as the most important of the responsibility of the board at this time?
Oh my gosh, that is multi-part. So I've been interested in being on the board for a few years. I've talked to different board members about my interest, and because I'm not I don't have like a particular issue that I'm concerned about. I was always pleased with our representatives that have been running, and so I've never like taken the jump to do that. And so this, when George decided to retire, he talked to me about, applying for the seat. And of course, it's turned into a little different ball of wax, but that's okay. You got to go with it. That's definitely one of the features of being on a board. And as far as, some of like Lenny knows and Doug knows, and a couple of you, but some of you I don't recognize and don't know. I actually worked for the school district for 30 years. And I started out as a speech language pathologist, and then I became the special ed director, and I did that for 14 years, and then I retired. And for probably 20 years, I served on town boards, mainly the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment. And then I also served on the Regional Planning Commission. And I mean, I really enjoyed that, but I always found myself kind of talking or thinking about planning and always tying it to education. And, whenever they're talking about economic development or attracting young people to move to the area, or recreation, or any topic that came up, I always in my mind, I was tying it to education, and I tried to kind of advocate that as I sat on those boards. So why I don't know if I answered the question of why I'm doing it. It just is opportunity, I guess.
I think that
timing's huge, you know.
Yes, thank you, Carol. Maria's
Okay.
going to ask you the next question.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Carol. So the next question you've already started in on as far as your experience and skills that you're bringing. But so the question is, what experience and skills do you have that'll help you be an effective board member? And how will you get up to speed with specifically board responsibilities? There's VSBA has training, there's a handbook, there's administrators, there's board members. Like what would be your plan to really, because you're coming in late, how to catch up and really be involved?
So I have sat in numerous school board meetings as an administrator, and even when I was doing my SLP work, I enjoyed meeting with the board. I always thought it was great when the board had staff come in and talk about, you know, what's going on. So you have a really firsthand knowledge about what's going on in the buildings. And so I think in terms of getting up to speed, you know, I think if I review the, you know, the handbooks and the meetings, it'll be fairly easy for me to pick up what our responsibilities are. And I've watched board members over the years, so I know, you know, I know the difficult job that they have sometimes trying to please everybody. As far as personal experience that I think would help me, I mean, having chaired the Regional Planning Commission, having chaired the Clarendon Planning Commission, and having been the clerk for the Board of Adjustment, I've had to spend a lot of time kind of mediating different sides, talking about, you know, trying to get people to come together. You know, I just remember this one Board of Adjustment meeting where we had some neighbors going at it, and we decided to just go visit the neighbors and visit the site. And when we got the neighbors talking, we backed right out. We didn't even need to do anything. So it's really getting people to communicate, figuring out what they want, and helping, you know, just helping people to kind of come to agreement on things. They're not always going to be happy, but at least you can try and get them to see each other as having a point of view that's important to hear.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Carol, I'm supposed to ask the next question, and I guess I'll let you elaborate on your last answer, because my question is, how do you strive for consensus in a group where you are fundamentally at odds with fellow board members? How will you work with members to achieve consensus? So I guess it's a little bit of a twist. It's actually on your own board.
Right. I think two things I learned when I was working, and things that were taught to me by people who had to work in difficult situations. It's kind of my two rules. The first rule is to make the solution bigger than the problem, which sounds kind of weird, but it's when you have people who are even on the board, you know, if you're with another board member and they're disagreeing, it's to kind of come up with a solution that includes what both people want. The solution has to be bigger than the problem. And the second is in order to do that, you have to just ask people, what do you want? Because I think a lot of times, you know, someone comes in and they want, you know, pie in the sky something, or you think they want pie in the sky something, or they think they want pie in the sky something. And really, it's just one small thing that will make them happy or satisfied with the situation. So it's really, and you know, I know I've seen board members disagree, and I always feel like the board members are able to be respectful of each other and see each other's point of view and come to some consensus about what you're going to do. And, you know, I think on a school board, the essential part of that is to is just to think about how it's going to affect the students. And that doesn't mean you ignore the parents or the teachers or the community, but the things that affect the community and the parents and the teachers affect the kids. So when you're making decisions, always keep that in mind. How is this going to affect the students? Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Because I
Thank
can
you.
go off on a bazillion tangents.
No, that was fine. Thank you. Maria,
So now-
you're up.
Now we're going to open up questions from the board, and feel free to ask a question that you just asked Andrea, or if something that Carol said has sparked a new wonder, then go ahead with that. BJ, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll repeat the same one that I had there.
Okay.
Normally this vote's done by the public, and it will be again, I guess, in another month or so. What is something you would say to the Clarendon public to get their vote?
Well, actually, I think what I would say to them is, first of all, I'd encourage people to vote, because I don't think our turnouts in Clarendon are stellar. You know, maybe in a presidential election, we get a bunch of people out. So the first would be just having people vote. And I wouldn't tell them to vote for me. I would ask them what they know about the school board, and their schools, and what do they think about, and what do they want to happen in their schools. And then I would respond, you know, with, well, here's how I see that issue. And I would, you know, more tell them about my experience, and maybe tell them some stories of my experiences in the particular area that they're concerned about. I don't know if that's, I mean, I don't have a stump speech, if that's what you're asking.
No, that was
Or
good.
I don't have a platform or a stump speech. One might develop as I start talking to people.
I see Doug queuing up there. Thanks, BJ. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, Doug,
Yeah,
how you doing?
First off, Carol, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
You and I go back a lot of years. I was thinking of the time that I was going to resign. Something had happened in the district, and I was going to walk away. You talked me out of it, and then within 6-8 months, I had a chance to talk you out of it using the same thought process. I'm glad to see you're still around.
Well, I remember when I applied, I'm sorry, Doug, I just have to say this. When I applied for the job as special ed director, one of the concerns was, were they going to be able to find someone to take my job? Because I was a speech pathologist, and they're very rare. And you were like, that's not fair. You kind of stood up for me. So I remember that too.
Okay, my question, actually, I'm going to ask the same thing as I asked the other lady in front of you. Your thoughts on currently what we have for education or the curriculum? Is that something that you agree with, or are you in an area of making some changes or increasing the current what we have?
So I am not familiar with the curriculum. I mean, last time I was involved in curriculum was 5 years ago. So I'm not sure, you know, where the curriculum has gone. I think the one thing I would say is this COVID thing has, I think, probably taught us that technology needs to be integrated into everything we do, because that's, you know, been an important aspect of getting kids, you know, involved and participating in their education. So I'm not sure, Doug, how to answer that question, because curriculum involves so many different areas. You know, having been in education for 30 years, I've seen curriculum come and curriculum go. And so I would just go back to my basic question. And if someone's recommending changes in curriculum, I try and find out what they want. And then ask, how does it affect the kids?
Thank you very much. Good
You're
luck.
welcome. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug. Would anybody else like to go right now? Matt, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Matt. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've
Nice
met
to meet
before.
you, Matt. Nope.
I
I'll ask the same question I asked before, really basic. Obviously, it would make sense for us to consider a candidate that's planning to run in the election next month in Clarendon. Have you submitted an application to the town?
I have.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to make sure. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It was a little kind of funky the way they did it, but I went down there and signed. Yeah.
Awesome. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt. Asha.
Hi, Carol. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I'm Asha Carroll, the representative from Tinmouth.
Oh, hi. Oh, good.
Yeah, great to meet you. I'm also going to ask the same question that I asked the previous candidate, which is, how would you envision yourself connecting with the Clarendon community to communicate your work on the board?
Well, I already have huge connections in the community. I have, obviously my connections through working 30 years in the schools. I can't walk through the supermarket in the Price Chopper in West Rutland or the Hannafords and not see people I know, including many, many students. But I also have connections because I've been on town boards. And so it's almost a whole different group of people. So I think I have, people know me, and a lot of people will come up to me and talk to me. So I think I'll be able to talk on behalf of the board when people have questions, and be able to pretty much describe what's going on the board. I think I'm able to do that. Is that getting at what you're asking, or?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Carol.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks, Asha. Let's see, we haven't heard, Len, you're also from Clarendon. Do you have any questions, Clarendon related questions?
Well, having known Carol for a long time,
Maybe leading
Yes,
questions.
sir.
we won't
Yes,
go there.
sir. Yeah.
No, I don't really have any questions for Carol. I think her experience speaks for itself, and the voters in Clarendon will make their decision, and
That's right.
and I think Carol respects that. She respects the community, and I'm good with that.
Thanks,
All right.
Lenny.
We've gone past our time.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Adrienne. Back to you. Sorry, I lost track.
I'm very rarely the one who keeps us on track. So
Yes, really.
I am the one, so I don't know what's going on.
So Carol, thank you very much.
Okay,
And
thank you.
We'll be having a full discussion tomorrow night at the board meeting, and then vote on the two candidates. And you will
Okay.
tell us, okay, if you're not watching.
Yeah. Thanks
Thanks,
a lot
Carol.
for your time. Thanks for all
Thank
you
you.
do.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah,
Bye.
nice seeing you. Bye.
Okay, board members, we don't really have anything else to take up our evening, so I'll see you all tomorrow.
Can I just make one more thing?
Yes, you may.
Oh, I know we just lost someone, but where's that? Anyway, I just wanted to remind, I know that this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that this is something that we shouldn't be discussing as a group until tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Have a good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Thank you.